Hello, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. In the last episode, we set up a research base which can generate several thousand science. So now let's do something interesting with some of the advanced technologies. Here's a heavy space plane that can launch an orange tank into orbit. But let's launch something else. Just delete that. And if we go to advanced mode, subassemblies, I have a mining craft designed to go to Minmus and mine there. Let's save this as heavy space plane with miner. Save. And we want this fairing to be wide enough, just wide enough to get around the mining drills. Is this wide enough? It is not quite wide enough. Oh right, there's this scanner at the bottom that's also quite wide. Well, we can just go straight across, I guess. Something like this. A little bit bigger than necessary, but well, it should be fine. Save that and launch. Okay, and take off. Unfortunately, I don't want to time warp too much because I am recording and it's a bit hard on the CPU to do that at the same time you're time warping a relatively large craft inside the atmosphere. But, this doesn't take too long to get into orbit. Just turn a little bit so we're going straight on the runway. We do need to go to the end of the runway here. Yeah, losing a few frames. So nose up, retract the gear with G. And since the thrust on these turbo ramjets increases with speed, I'll get up to 300, 350 meters per second before I start nosing up. These engines are based on the design of the engines from the SR-71 Blackbird, where it's like a turbojet, but there's also a bypass, which is more of a ramjet. Well, you can look that up on Wikipedia if you're interested in that. Nose up at 25 degrees or so, wobbling a little bit. And as your speed goes up, the thrust on these can get quite high, actually. We're already at more than double the stationary force, at least, approaching 300. And we'll probably see a little bit of heating as we continue speeding up. That was actually a significant issue in real supersonic aircraft like the Concorde and the Blackbird. The solution they came up with was using a cooling system where you have a heat exchanger with the fuel going to the engines. Fighter jets don't go quite as fast as the Blackbird, though, so it's not usually as much of an issue. Temperature is, of course, proportional to velocity squared. Yeah, so here's our flames. Probably turn the rocket engine on at 14 kilometers or so. Go ahead and turn the rocket on. Next thing to do is to check our APO. We want to bring this up to 65 or 70 kilometers, I think. Then I'll probably throttle down or throttle off. coast a little bit. You can see our velocity is already quite high because we were only going up at 25 degrees. So that should about do it. And since we have an advanced probe core, we can automatically follow prograde. And we want to wait until this is 40 seconds or so. You can burn a little bit. I mean, you can also just burn low enough that this goes down. Like so. But I usually wait until this just gets down and then burn harder. But you can see I'm burning a little bit here. And we are just about outside the atmosphere. There we go, 70 kilometers. 28 seconds to apo. Well, that means we can burn fairly hard without ending up in too much of an eccentric orbit. And you can see we're approaching 2200 meters per second. That's about when you want to start making sure you don't go too fast. Just time warp a little bit. Since the time to apo is going up, you throttle down if you want a perfectly circular orbit, which we don't necessarily care about. But, you know, it's the principle of the thing. And now we can watch our Perry go up. And when they start rotating or flipping, that means you have a roughly circular orbit. So here we are. And we even still have some fuel left. These are the last fuel tanks to be used. And these are all full, so you can see we have a pretty decent amount of fuel left. Let's just quick save here and blow the fairing. Did we lose anything? Looks like we might have lost a solar panel. Scanner's still there. Yeah, we lost a couple solar panels when that fairing blew, so I think I'll just reload. Maybe I should have designed the fairing better, but it's a little bit random actually. So there's a solar panel. So 2 solar panels here, solar panel here, radiator here, solar panel here. Okay, everything is good. Everything's good. Switch to the mining craft. Decouple. And just gently bring ourselves away from the carrier vehicle. Now that we're clear of the fairings, we can deploy some solar panels. And we can extend the antenna, also very important. And quick save. Now we want to be going to Minmus, so we set his target, burn at about 90 degrees before its position. So we're burning directly towards it. Ironically enough, it's not usually the best approach to burn directly towards where you're going, but you know, directly towards the object you want to encounter. But in this case, it actually works. So we're on our target position, and we click behind ourselves and warp to next maneuver. So here's our mining vessel. We have landing legs, radiators to dissipate heat, mining arms, of course. Here's the converter unit. This is an advanced grabbing unit. It's an easier way to dock most of the time. And that's just in case you want to dock with this thing directly instead of using a fuel hauler. The survey scanner, solar panels, all the stuff you need for mining. And of course an ore tank in front here. One thing to note about the ore tanks is that they actually get quite heavy when they're full. Much more so than fuel tanks. The ore tanks increase in weight a lot when they're full. So if you have a contract that says to bring so and so units of ore to some location, you might want to be a little bit careful about that. Just time warp a little bit to burn faster. It would be nice to have automatic target following, but I guess that is locked unless you have an advanced enough pilot or probe core. Oh well. There are mods for that, or there's probably a debug command, in fact, if you so desire that. But, you know, we can just follow the target ourselves. There we go. That's good enough. And we are, in fact, encountering Minmus. So, just quick save. And at about halfway there, we want to change our inclination a bit. You can see we're a little bit off. We're a little bit too high. So, check our parry there. It's at 1.1 million. Well, the fact that our orbit went all wonky means that we probably got closer with that. I assume. Minmus periaps. Minmus. No, we're not actually closer than our original trajectory would bring us. Let's try that again. So we want to go down a little bit. That's the wrong one. There we go. Just burn that until it starts going up again. And do this until it starts going up again. So something like that, I guess. That's only a 25 meter per second burn. Not a big deal. So we just get on our target, more or less. And then we'll warp to our maneuver. Warp here. And burn. We don't have to be quite on the maneuver since it's not a big burn. Now if you're having trouble making small adjustments, you can click on your engine and limit the thrust. So now our parry is... where's that? There we go. 340,000 meters, which is totally fine. It doesn't matter that much if you get close or far to Minmus, because it doesn't have very strong gravity. With a place like Eve, it makes a much bigger difference how close you get to it before burning. But we can go ahead and warp to the Minmus sphere of influence. Come on, warp faster. It's only 10,000 times normal speed. Okay. And where's our resource scanner? Here we are. We can use this to scan, but since we already did that, we just want to toggle the overlay. And this will show us where the resources are. Add a maneuver at roughly the periapse until you have an orbit. Hit on that target and just warp to about that. Maybe a little closer, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, you don't warp that fast necessarily with the auto warp. But we don't have to be right on the parry here. We can go ahead and start burning. In fact, follow the retrograde. You can see our orbit is bending. And here we are. This will do just fine. Now we might go ahead and extend these landing legs. Anything else we need to do? I think we're okay. So let's choose our landing site. How do I set the camera again? Now I can't remember how to set the focus. Okay, was it tab? Yes, it was tab. Okay, focus Minmus. There we go. And toggle overlay. There we go. So we want to land on one of these pink areas. So how about we land on the poles? That way we don't have to worry about the rotation of Minmus. So just burn retrograde. Maybe that way a little bit. A little more retrograde. I mean, that should be basically fine. We can get a little closer to the pole though. That should about do it. So I just warp to next maneuver. And get on our target. And watch our actual orbit to make sure it's matching the maneuver. looks okay so far. And there we go. Quick save since we're coming in for a landing. And set a maneuver at about the impact site. Yeah, that'll work. And we can go ahead and warp to here or so. For some reason, the auto warp is only running at 1,000 times normal speed. Maybe it's the altitude. There we go. And of course, save again, although it's not really necessary. And in fact, you might want to quick save a little bit less than I do. Just in case you want to go further back. Well, we're 7 minutes away from landing, according to this maneuver node. 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I think we can go ahead and start burning retrograde. Since we're overshooting the poles a little bit, I think I'll burn retrograde instead of burning on the target. And time warp a little bit. Down to 90 meters per second. Which is slowly going down. That maneuver is just a distraction at this point. So, we might want to warp a little bit more. Maybe to here or so. Make sure our velocity doesn't get too high. You can see it only goes at times 10 at this altitude in any case. And there we go. It's a gentle landing. We do want to try and stay pointing upright though. Okay. Well, we've landed. On a little bit of a slope, but it's not too bad. Now then, we want to extend these radiators. Extend radiator. And now we can get to actually mining. We can retract that, I guess. So, deploy drill. And deploy the other drill. And I think I'll just time warp a little bit until we have some sunlight here. There we go. That'll do. So now we can start the harvester. Start the other harvester. Alright. And start making liquid fuel and oxidizer. 0.19% load. Okay. And you can see we're getting 0.062 units of ore per second from each harvester. If we check our tank, well, if we time warp while checking our tank, we should see it going up slowly. More time warp. There we go. We can see it's going up slowly. Unfortunately, the sun is now going below the horizon, and we're going to run out of electric charge, which disables our probe. But that's okay. The sun will come up once again. Alright, and now we have a mining base on Minmus. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.